How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word show to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word show, SHOW, to 33777. Text show to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 1.
Hello, America. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the United States. I am glad to have you with me. I got to just start with real world moment, not news. I just say your prayers are appreciated. We got our daughter to England she got there yesterday morning. And she's miserable. It's raining. It's cold. She doesn't know anybody. It has been a hard night in the Erickson household. We were up all night with her, just trying to get her to go to sleep. And then she's jet lagged. So if you'll just say some prayers for my oldest, who is first time away from home and all the way in England. And I can't go get her. My passport is being expedited. But it is very hard for her right now, and very hard for us. You know, if we had crummy kids that we hated, it would be a lot easier. It sucks that we like our kids and they like us and want to be around us. But also, I think if she can make it for 48 hours or 72 hours, she'll be okay. But she's having a real hard time right now, and she's ready to come home. And she's only been there for 24 hours. And if you've experienced that, you've experienced that, and you know how hard it is. And if you don't, just your prayers are appreciated, because this is extremely much harder for her, who has always been kind of brave and bold and has now gotten there, and she just wants her mom and dad, and we get it, and we can't be there for her, which makes it harder. So all that said, let's get to the news. The President of the United States has his deal, and y'all, I just gotta say, I'm laughing at all of it. This is a very, very typically Donald Trump thing. The president has his Greenland deal. What he actually has is the framework of a future deal. He doesn't actually have a deal. And I got to tell you how humorous I find it. The number of people who come at me who are Trump supporters who are like, you just don't understand. You've always been never Trump. He's the smartest man ever, and he's a real estate developer. And all you have to do is read The Art of the Deal. Apparently, the lesson in Art of the Deal is you can take the very long way and difficult road to get the things you could have gotten very easily, because he could have gotten exactly what he says he's getting without having gone through all the kabuki theater and the suggesting maybe military's not off the table and all that. But here's Byron York. Let me let Byron speak to some of this for a minute.
And then he asked for 10 times that, and the other side flips out, and they go back and forth and go back and forth. It becomes a huge news story. Finally, they make an offer. He agrees to it, and it's kind of what they could have gotten in the first place.
And says they're wonderful people and happy to work with them, and suddenly it's this dismount that we could predict by how it's set up at the beginning.
Yes, and the other side's happy because they think they dodged a bullet. So it's just classic Trump.
Yeah, it is very classic Trump. His supporters think that he has outmaneuvered everyone. What he's actually gotten was not very much, and what he could have gotten to begin with. But hey, it's the art of the deal, 4D chess. This is so dumb. I'm just tired of the careening around. Why? Because in this entire news cycle of the conquest of Greenland and how we need to own Greenland, which we're not going to do, he's actually using the phrase joint sovereignty with Denmark, and there's no joint sovereignty. We're going to get back the military bases that we gave up at the end of the Cold War, and that will be where we get sovereign control. That's it. That is based on the framework. And by the way, we don't even have the deal. We have a framework for a deal, and the framework is what the Danes put in their strategic planning paper last year, and that's something everyone has kind of not paid attention to. The president has said that the Danes themselves have said China and Russia, the Sino-Russian Arctic Alliance, they call it, is a strategic threat to Denmark. The Danes have said this. The president has pointed out. The Danes says what the president didn't point out is that one of the things that the Danes recommended in their strategic planning paper for the next 20 years or so is we need to repopulate those bases on Greenland, either American or NATO alliance, and that's what we're going to do. The things that the Danes last year in a planning paper said they wanted to do, but the president is using this joint sovereignty language, which it's not really the case that we're going to be joint sovereigns of Greenland. We're going to have control of military bases in Greenland, the military bases we gave up in the 1990s and the Danes have been wanting to give back to us. Here's Brett Hume with Brett Baer.
Well, if what we're finding out is hearing is correct, and the United States would gain control, maybe even sovereignty over zones within Greenland to set up bases and for other military purposes, that would certainly be a solution to the issue. But it's not entirely clear to me how it would matter practically, and how much difference it would make between that and what we have now. We have extensive basing rights in Greenland under a treaty reached in 1951 through NATO that allowed us to have a lot of bases in Greenland, and we did have a lot of bases in Greenland. They were all but one were taken down. So the practical difference is a little unclear to me, but it might be enough to get out of this controversy.
And that's kind of it. Donald Trump's base gets to think he's the greatest genius that ever lived and a master of 4D chess and the art of the deal. The Danes get what they wrote in their strategic planning document last year they wanted, and they don't have to pay for it. And we get to pay for it with NATO, and we get the bases that we've been able under treaty rights since 1951 to get back. And everybody gets to move on. It's just, why did we have to go through the theater? That's my issue here. That's my issue. The president is getting what he could have gotten all along. But here's the thing that people don't understand, and this is something Mark Reddy, who may be the genius in all this, he's the head of NATO, and the man is a master operator. He knows how to handle the president of the United States probably better than most Americans, including most people who surround Trump on a daily basis. So what did he do? He got Denmark and all the others behind closed doors to agree to allow the United States to go back to our pre-Cold War military footing on Greenland, to say that we had sovereignty over those locations and that they are extensive across the island. So the president can say we have sovereignty over parts of the island. We get what we wanted, and everybody goes away happy. But you have to do this as kind of a theatrical act with the president to make the president look like he's getting the best deal ever, so his supporters seal clap. And you just have to understand you're giving him what you wanted to give him, but you're making it look like it was his idea, and everybody comes out happy. This is the president talking on CNBC about it. Actually,
Can you give us more details about the deal?
Do the deal. No, it's a great deal for everybody.
Will there be an acquisition? Will there be an acquisition?
No, I think they're going to be very happy. It's a great deal for everybody.
The table completely now, sir. Can the people of the UK rest assured the deal's gone?
Based on the fact that it looks like we have the concept of a deal. It's a long-term deal. It's the ultimate long-term deal. I think it puts everybody in a really good position.
That's him on Fox News. We have the concept of a deal. We have a long deal. This is him with Joe Kernan on CNBC.
It's going to be a very good deal for the United States, also for them. And we're going to work together on something having to do with the Arctic as a whole, but also Greenland. And it has to do with the security, great security, strong security, and other things.
A little bit vague there, but and the vagueness is because we have the framework of future planning of a deal. We don't actually have the deal in writing, but the president can claim that he is going to get control of Greenland, and that works. He goes away happy. They go away happy. If you subscribe to the show notes, I put a piece in there today by my buddy Josh Trevino. American interest in Greenland confronts Denmark with a choice it has faced before. With strategic imagination, it could engage the United States to forge a mutually beneficial path for the island's future. And in large part, they kind of give the suggestion that was run with here, that you give America back what America had before America gave it up. You say that they've got control over that territory, which they would have because of military bases, and everybody gets a win-win, and we can move on. My headache with this, my beating my head against the wall on this is that we essentially have overshadowed the situation in Minnesota. We've overshadowed all of these other situations that are damaging for the Democrats, while the president threatened our allies, dropped the Dow with threats of tariffs, and did all of this other stuff to get what could have been gotten very easily because the Danes already wanted to give it to us. And we've all got to go through the theater to make it look like this is somehow a big win. And I guess my greater frustration is actually the number of people who look on this stuff and are like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest deal ever. Oh, holy moly. Good for the president. By the way, there's a side of this now that I've angered all the Trump supporters who were here after yesterday, rah, 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 and now they're mad at me again for being critical of how this thing played out. Here's what I'm not critical of is the president has been right the whole time about the need for Greenland. And again, even the Danes agreed to this. The Danish are actually the ones who actually really wanted us to engage in expanded control of our old bases on Greenland because they see the strategic threat from the Chinese and the Russians. If you were to pull up a map of the world and you looked, you would find that there are 3 passages for the Russian subfleet, 4 passages to get into the Atlantic outside of the Black Sea Fleet. Out of the Black Sea Fleet, they got to go through the Bosporus with our NATO ally Turkey. Otherwise, they've got to go through Baffin Bay, which is very hard to navigate through between Greenland and Canada, allies. Or they've got to go between Greenland and Iceland, allies. Or they've got to go between Iceland and the UK, allies, or they got to go through the UK and France, allies. It's very hard for the Chinese and the Russians to be able to go around the Arctic to get into the Atlantic. If they want to come all the way around from the Indian Ocean into the southern Atlantic and up, they can certainly do that if they want. And we have strategic positions in those places as well. The president's always been right, too. And then the military nuclear capacity of China and Russia, if you want to fire missiles across into the United States, you got to go over Greenland with those missiles, or northern Canada or Alaska. Those are all very strategic, necessary positions. The president has always been right on this issue. And the baffling thing, besides the circuitous route to get what we could have gotten anyway without all the drama, is the people on the left who have insisted all along the president is out of his mind on this, when the president's not out of his mind on this. The president has a legitimate, real issue. He's 100% right on the issue. It's just his way of going about it is such high drama that nobody really needed. It distracted from so many other more important things. And here we could go with more, but we're not going to do that because, well, we've got something in Greenland. Something is not nothing, but what it is, we don't know because it's just the framework for a future. And every time the president says we've got sovereignty over the island now, the Danes are coming out and say, no, you don't. No, you don't. In fact, they've already done it today. The Danish foreign minister has already come out and said there will be no sovereign surrender of control of the island of Greenland to the United States. So they'll go back into the back room again and work on the terminology and try to get the president to use the language everybody agreed to. It's just high drama. including those several days where the president refused to take military options off the table, and then the tariffs that led the market to go down, and none of it was necessary. But if you're a diehard Trump supporter today, you get to say your man's the greatest deal negotiator ever to get what the Danes last year said they wanted to give us. Guys, when I started thinking about my family and taking care of my family and taking care of myself, there are overwhelming number of options out there, and you just kind of get bogged down. The inertia of being overwhelmed means you may not act. Well, let me tell you about SelectQuote, because for SelectQuote, for over 40 years, they've been helping Americans understand their options to get coverage they need. Over $700 billion in coverage and counting. As a broker, their mission's simple: to find you the right insurance policy at the best price. They can take the guesswork out of finding the right life insurance policy for your family, one that meets your budget. Life insurance is never cheaper than it is today. Get the right life insurance for you, for less, no less. And save more than 50% at SelectQuote.com/Eric, E-R-I-C-K. Save more than 50% on term life insurance at SelectQuote.com/Eric today to get started. That's SelectQuote.com/Eric. Don't get overwhelmed. Get SelectQuote. Greetings, welcome. 877-973-7425 is the phone number. We got a number of people who want to get on the phone, and I am very, very happy to take your phone calls. You need to know that the ringleader of the protest in the church in Minnesota, Nikema Armstrong, has been arrested by the federal government for violations of the FACE Act. I am waiting for them to perp walk Don Lemon. He needs to be arrested too, as more video has come out. Very clearly, he was not just engaging as a journalist. He was there harassing people and participating in the protest. They need to do that. And again, as I said yesterday, I'm glad Trump is president when this sort of stuff comes up. He drives me crazy sometimes with this sort of antics in Greenland. But again, also, I think we've exposed, he has, as a silver lining of this, exposed how bad the left is when it comes to our national security, because they're out of their minds laughing that he thinks Greenland is of strategic importance when it is. So even his circuitous way that has allowed everybody to be distracted by all this stuff and ignore Iran and Minnesota and the like, he exposed progressives for being really bad when it comes to national security. You literally have people out there today who, on the left, who are saying we actually do need to be more like China, and China is more responsible and mature than us. These people do not like the United States. They're the Blame America First crowd. Also, you should know he has met with Volodymyr Zelensky in Davos as well, and the president says that they had a very good meeting. We'll get to that here in a bit, and the great divide between foreign and domestic policy. Now, before we get into any of that, let me tell you about Vision Computers. You can call them at 404-COMPUTER. Go to visioncomputers.com. They can build you new computers. They can upgrade your computers. They can be your managed IT service. If you call them at 404-COMPUTE, tell them I sent you. Might save a little money. But if you're a sole proprietor, you got a small business and you can't afford an in-house IT guy, or you're contracting with a company that uses AI chatbots, Vision Computer will give your employees a phone number where they call, and in 15 seconds or less, someone's going to answer the phone and help them with their computer problems. It's a great way to keep your employees productive and focused on their jobs, while Vision Computers focuses on your technology. They keep you online and productive, and your employees can worry about being great employees and not being worried about their own IT guy. Call them at 404-COMPUTE, anyone nationwide, from Alaska and Hawaii all the way to Maine and Miami. 404-COMPUTER, visioncomputers.com. Let Vision Computers be your tech solution. Let them build computers for you. And by the way, if they build the computers for you, the tech support comes for free. They can upgrade computers as well. They can even transfer your existing computer to newer, better computers as long as everything's Windows 11 compliant. 404-COMPUTE or visioncomputers.com. Call them today nationwide. Let them take care of your technology needs.
If you're not using Ironclad for contracts, you could be leaving millions on the table without knowing it. Every contract holds renewal dates, pricing terms, and obligations you can't afford to miss. But good luck finding them when it matters. Ironclad's AI instantly surfaces what matters so you can act before opportunities slip away. That's why they're trusted by OpenAI, L'Oreal, and Salesforce. Find the savings hiding in your contracts at ironcladapp.com/podcast. That's ironcladapp.com/podcast.
Hello and welcome. It is Eric Erickson here, 877-973-7425. There's some breaking news. A federal magistrate in Minnesota has declined to approve charges against Don Lemon, undoubtedly thinking he's got a First Amendment right. Clearly didn't see all the video footage. This isn't the final end here. The Attorney General intends to summon a grand jury, if nothing else, to get Don Lemon indicted. Based on what he did, it's clear he exceeded the limits of the First Amendment. And by the way, the Biden administration set the precedent on this when they arrested and tried a number of people who claimed to be journalists on January 6th. To the phones we go. Jim, you're going to be up first. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Well, I think the word is deflect. You used it a minute ago, and I think that's exactly what Trump is trying to do. I'm one of those people who voted 3 times for Trump, and like you, I'm still glad I did. But his failure to follow up in Iran and his failure to follow up in Venezuela is not good. He drew a line in the sand with Iran, said, I'm going to bomb you if you start killing your people. They start killing thousands of their people and did nothing. And then in Venezuela, he said, well, we'll get Chevron and others to go down and spend billions to develop the oil. And Chevron came out and said, no, it's not worth it to us. It's too much risk. So that was in the Wall Street Journal yesterday or the day before. So I think he's kind of become the dog that caught 2 cars, and now he's like, uh-oh, I better start getting people to think about something else here besides my follow-through, which doesn't exist.
So, okay, Jim, listen, I want to thank you because you put me in the rare position of actually on this sort of stuff defending the president. First of all, just to set the record, it was Exxon, not Chevron. Chevron Chevron actually operates in Venezuela. It's the only American oil company that does. It's Exxon that said they don't want to invest in Greenland in Venezuela because it's too risky. They've lost all their assets there twice. But I think there's a way for the president to do that. And on Iran, the help hasn't come that he promised, but I think it's coming. We'll get to that. There are some signs the U.S. may be about to do something in Iran, including waiting for some warships to arrive. But so here's the thing. On Greenland, I don't think he did this to be a distraction. I think he really wants the whole island, and we should have the whole island. And again, I think he's completely right on that. Just we're not going to get the whole island. And the way he went about it, he winds up getting what he could have gotten without all the drama. And at least we are going to get restoration of our military assets, assuming Congress funds them, which even the Democrats in Congress, I think, are willing to do for this project in Greenland. So, I mean, we're going to get something out of this. It's just I don't know that we needed all the roundabout drama to get there. Jeff, you may have a different take on this. Welcome. How are you, sir?
Yeah. First of all, thoughts and prayers for your daughter.
Thank you.
And thoughts and prayers for you because in my experience, I found that we're only as happy as our unhappiest child. So
that's a good way to look at it.
So hope you get through that. I love your show, love your objectivity, and I'm a conservative patriot. Voted for Trump, love Trump. The one thing you said about Greenland, and you'd probably change it, or you've kind of in this last conversation you covered it. You know, Trump's a sales guy. He's also a good ops guy. And my experience has been that if you're good at one or the other, you make a lot of money. If you're good at both, you run the company. And Trump is good at both. He's shown that with his ability to get things done. On Greenland, I think that I don't agree with everything everything Trump does and says. But, he's trained, in New York, out of every business that succeeds, probably 1,000 fail. Tough city. I've been there. You've been there. You learn to ask for the moon. And if you don't get it, so what? Now, in Trump's case, this is where I disagree with him. in his tactics. To your point, he only got what he would have gotten anyway. But the thing is, if they'd said yes, you asked for the moon, and that's where his, to me, where he rubs the public the wrong way, is he's going for broke, and it makes a lot of people mad. Every once in a while, more times than not, he gets what he wants. This time he didn't. It cost the stock market drop. It cost a lot of ruffled feathers. But when you look at his track record, it's not my style. But I've seen a lot of successful people that are that way, and really extremely successful people take no prisoners, and that's the way he is. So take the good with the bad.
Yeah, look, I think that's a fair assessment. My caveat is that he's the president right now, not the real estate developer. But I mean, he does. It is his style, and the people who say this is the art of the deal, they're right. I just, so I guess I should say I'm a little cynical on this because I was talking to a friend last night who's been involved with this particular issue, and that essentially the conversation over the past week has been among the Europeans and among the State Department officials, how do we structure this to get the president to move on to something else, because he's kind of like the snapping turtle that grabbed a hold of it and can't let go. And the way they do it is essentially give him what they were going to give him, but change the words like sovereignty of the military assets, and then he lets go of the issue and moves on. And like this friend of mine who was involved in this says is that what everybody has to understand is that you're dealing with Donald Trump, who operates in a particular way, and people can get attacked and embarrassed and maligned for going through various performances. But they understand they do that to get the president where he needs to go, not necessarily where he wants to go, but where he needs to go, and also allowing him to look like he got a deal. And so he does. And you're right. There are times the president goes for broke and he gets exactly what he wanted.
Well, this is Trump, to your point. When it fails, it's Trump at his worst, because he does it. As you said, like a snapping turtle, he won't let go. Just to move on and don't lose your credibility in the public forum, because you didn't win that one. And so I get it. But again, I love your show. I love your objectivity. I don't agree with you all the time, but I love your perspective because it makes me think. And keep going. Kudos to you,
Jeff. I appreciate it a ton, and thanks for the prayers too. I appreciate that very much. 877-973-7425. John calling from Oklahoma City. John, first, John, I got to ask you, how's the weather in Oklahoma City today?
So far, so good, but we're bracing for impact.
Yeah, we are here too in Atlanta.
Yeah. So we'll see how it all works out there. Hopefully for the best. So I had I'm a first-time caller, first-time listener. So I loved your take on the Greenland thing. But one aspect I think people might be overlooking, and I want your opinion on it. Do you think this plays well to the European domestic audience for the leadership, the European leadership within NATO, so that they can go to their people and say, hey, the United States is not a reliable partner. We have to become more self-sufficient, invest in our military, and that gets Trump to his goal of them spending more, closer to that 5% GDP that he's after.
Okay. I'm so glad you asked this question, John, because I actually think you're on the money on this. Mark Rutte, who is the head of NATO, called out the Finnish president at Davos yesterday. And I didn't get the clip because it was kind of long, but essentially he says, until Trump came along and started forcing the issue, you guys weren't spending anything militarily the way you needed to, and suddenly you are, and you're still not spending enough. You got to spend more. And the German chancellor has essentially come out and said, like, we can't depend on the United States. We need to do more. We have threats that are clearly no longer their threats as well. So, yeah, I mean, the silver lining in all of this is that this is going to force the Europeans to step up, and they're not going to get rid of NATO. but they're certainly going to play a bigger role in the capacities of NATO than the United States. You know, one of the weird things here, and John, listen, first of all, thanks very much for listening. And your question was so great because you get to the heart of everything here, that one of the upsides of Europe not spending too much in NATO is that the United States gets to run the shop. What we want, we get. And there are ways that we have in the past had to do diplomatic language to get what we wanted, but we get what we wanted. Trump doesn't like the diplomatic language. Let's just be honest here. He doesn't like the diplomatic language. He just wants to get what he gets, and sometimes that rubs the Europeans the wrong way. But they increase their spending to 5% GDP in the military and sharing with NATO, they get more say in how NATO operates, which, for better or worse, that's where we had. But this is going to force that issue, and that's a good thing. The Europeans do need to stop being so reliant on us. They've been able to build a social welfare state while the Americans defended them. And the president forcing that shakeup is a very good thing. By the way, I was just looking for you guys out in Oklahoma City. My weather forecast for you shows -3 on Monday for a low, 2 degrees on Sunday, and lots of snow. Holy moly. Wow. That -3. Now, subject to change. Y'all listen to KRMG in Tulsa and Freedom 96.9 in Oklahoma City, and they'll keep you up to date with all your weather needs out there. And the rest of you tune into your fine local radio stations, wherever you are, for your weather. But, man, the weather is going to be it's going to be something. Okay, now I have to sorry, I got distracted, and this is a terrible thing. Okay, this makes me feel better. You people in Sacramento are going to have 37 degrees for a low on Sunday, according to this. So it is everywhere. I was going to be really upset if I got on this weather app, and it was going to be sunny and 70 in Sacramento. I would have to say something obnoxious, but nope, you people are suffering with the rest of us all the way out there in California. This is going to be a national weather event. And, you know, here they keep changing it. So my daughter, she really wants to come home. She's been in the UK for 24 hours now. She's had a rough day. She doesn't feel good. She's miserable. She hasn't met anybody. You know, the English are not very warm and friendly to begin with. She's in Brighton, which is on the coast, and it's been raining. It's going to rain for the next 10 days. There's no sun. And I was like, sweetheart, I would love to get you home, but my flight, I was going to go see my parents tomorrow for my mom's birthday this weekend. My flight on Sunday already got canceled. It's an early morning flight back to Atlanta, and they're like, nope, we know your flight's not getting in Sunday morning. They pushed it off till an evening flight, and I wound up canceling. I was like, I don't think I can get you home this weekend just because of the weather, but we'll get you home if we really need to get you home. But I'm also trying to tell her that, I mean, if you give up before you even start on this could be kind of one of those defining moments in your life that for the next 15 years you kick yourself over. And just how do you give your kid moral encouragement when they're across the Atlantic? I did try to get my passport expedited, so maybe, just maybe, I can get over there more quickly to see her. If I'm suddenly not on air one day in the next week, it's because I've gone to England to hug my kid. We'll see. Hopefully she plows through it. But back to the points and away from the weather. I don't mean to get sidetracked on this. Sorry, y'all, literally, we have been on the phone all night and all day. As much as I criticize the president on his handling of the Greenland thing, he's always been right on the issue that we need strategic control. And he's also right that the UK needs to step it up. The UK fundamentally needs to step up their defense, and the Germans need to step up their defense, and the French need to step up their defense. They're not going to go clamoring to China despite Macron's threats, because they actually, for all of their faults, and they have a lot of faults, and we all know their faults, they are still more pro-American than they are pro-China. And the president, like Marco Rubio says, wants a strong Europe. And sometimes that means tough love. And it's kind of like this deal with my kid in the UK right now, that sometimes you just got to suck it up and go through the suck, embrace the suck, and you got to embrace the temper tantrums of the president and recognize he wants what's best for Europe. And what's best for Europe is stop letting all of these foreigners in who refuse to assimilate and rebuild your military. And if that comes out of this, that's ultimately going to be a good thing. This hour of the program is sponsored by Van Allen Golf. I love having them. They're great. I love my putter. When I take it to the golf club, everybody wants to that sound. How can you make that sound? Just everybody wants to hold my putter when I take it to the golf club. It's actually fantastic, y'all. You won't believe how great this putter putts. It just the weight, the balance, the feel. You can change out the grips. It's just great. VanAllenGolf.com. VanAllenGolf.com. Text golf to 33777. Greg, I want to take your call here. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, Eric. Prayers for you and good luck with your daughter. I'm in the same boat almost. Our daughter's going to be heading most likely to Liberty University this fall, 8 hours away, and we know we're going to face a real tough time. So we're kind of in the same boat. You want to see them spread their wings and soar and reach for the stars, but boy, it's tough when they pick a place so far away. But I've got a lot of experience with homesickness from being a Boy Scout dad at about 5 summer camps up in the Georgia mountains at Woodruff. Couple of things you can do. There's a 72-hour rule. Don't try to come home for 72 hours. Whoever's running the event, whoever's running her program, find her a buddy ASAP and then keep her busy. Mm-hmm. For 72 hours, keep her busy. 3 days will turn into a week, will turn into 2 weeks. She'll focus on what's in front of her there rather than focusing on what she's missing at home. And that'll get her over the hump. I promise you. I've seen it with a dozen boys at summer camp, all ages, who are crying for 3 days, moping, but you follow those 3 simple things, and they turn out to have the best time ever.
Greg, I'm glad you said that, and it just reinforces to me that I've been telling her one day at a time. Like today, I told her goal was you need food, water, and good sleep tonight. Go to the drugstore, get Benadryl or something to help you get over the jet lag quick because she was up all night last night. Have a sound night of sleep. Her college roommate from here is going to be there tomorrow. They're going to different schools, but she'll be passing through on the way to her school and see her. And then she's got programs tomorrow evening that she's required to attend. And just trying to get her through this day and everything else. So I appreciate the advice very, very much. And
jet lag makes it horrible. Yes. It makes it really almost unbearable. But she gets over the hump. She'll be smiling in a week.
Thank you. Look, I appreciate it. That encourages me. Y'all, let me encourage you to go check out Old Glory Bank. They started it with an SPAC as they were growing. I'm actually one of their investors, and now they're moving to the NASDAQ. They're growing. They're the fastest growing bank in the country right now, and they're going to be on NASDAQ, which I'm excited by, and I just enjoy using this bank. They're a pro-freedom bank. They're a bank that protects your privacy, and they're a bank that gives you the freedom to bank as you want to bank. They're an online bank, but I haven't missed not having a physical branch location. I can do the app for checks. They've got 88,000 retail locations around the country where I can deposit cash that gets into my account. You use the app, it generates a QR code. They've got mortgages. They've got CDs. They've got interest-bearing accounts. I've been watching my savings account just grow, and they're great. OldGloryBank.com/Eric is where you want to go. If your kid needs a custodial account, look, they're all hyper online anyway. Get them a custodial account at oldglorybank.com/Eric. If you need an account, if you're a business and you want to work with a bank that actually takes your business seriously, oldglorybank.com/Eric. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Terms and conditions apply.